847-3733. The sports world keeps spinning and the local conversation continues. Now, Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Very good. Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Boy, we got a lot to do tonight. I am really interested about Sunday's game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Jacksonville Jaguars. There are a lot of subplots in this game that we will get to. A lot of things going on. The injury report is very interesting when it comes to both the Jaguars and the Cowboys, and Dallas can officially clinch a playoff spot with a win on Sunday. So there are a lot of angles to this game that need to be discussed. We got a very busy show tonight. We'll talk a lot of Jaguars and Dallas. In hour number one, John Shipley, Jaguar Report. He's coming up in about 20 minutes as we will look back briefly on the Titans game, but obviously look ahead to the Jaguars and the Cowboys. Also coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, Doug Kyed has worked for many National Football League outlets, including Pro Football Focus, among many others. He's covered the league for many years. It was interesting. He put out a tweet with Trevor Lawrence's stats this past weekend. The Jaguars must have liked it because the Jaguars actually used Doug's tweet on their official Twitter page. So Doug Kyed to talk Trevor Lawrence and talk Jaguars Cowboys in the 9 o'clock hour. If you missed it on Monday, Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports, who was on the call for CBS, not only for the Jaguars and the Titans, but also the Jaguars and the Ravens 2 weeks ago, will bring you Hacker After Dark replay there. And we're not going to forget about college football. I mean, look, the Gators play on Saturday in the Las Vegas Bowl against Oregon State. So we do want to focus on that. National Signing Day, or the early signing period in the month of December, is 1 week from today. 1 week from today. So we'll talk a little Florida, a little Florida State, Miami, transfer portal, signing day, the Las Vegas Bowl. We'll throw it all at Bill Bender of the Sporting News. He is the national college football writer for the Sporting News, and he is coming up later on in the program. So we got a lot to do. We're glad you're with us on a Wednesday night here on Hacker After Dark. And as we do, to kick things off on every Hacker After Dark, we have a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So last night, I made the point, and maybe I didn't make it correctly enough or succinctly enough. I thought I did. I thought I did a heck of a job explaining it. But I got some text messages. I got some emails. I actually got a Facebook message, which was kind of interesting. Don't get a lot of those. So I thought I would elaborate a little more. I made the point last night, and some of you probably didn't hear it. Tuesday night's our late night show here on Hacker After Dark. But I made the point that, well, all right, no matter what happens for the Jaguars over the next 4 weeks, the season, by and large, has already met the expectations of the Jaguar fans. Could you call that a success already? I think you probably could. If you don't want to use that word, I'll use the term met expectations. What do I mean by that? Well, what did you say, Jaguar fan, in the month of August, right? When we were in Canton honoring Tony Boselli and training camp was going on and we're getting ready for the season, what was everything that was being said by Jaguar fans? Get us on the playoff picture, right? Let us be in the hunt in the month of December. Can we play meaningful football after Thanksgiving? All right, well, let's think about that. Are they in the hunt? Absolutely. They're 2 games back of the division with 4 to go. 2 games back of the wild card with 4 to go. They're on the graphic. You go to any major website, you look at the AFC playoff picture, and you'll see a picture of the Jacksonville Jaguars in the hunt at 5-8. This game on Sunday against Dallas at TIAA Bank Field, probably the most important December home game for the Jaguars, at least in 5 years, right? 2017. So meaningful football in the month of December and in the hunt for a postseason berth. Check and check. That's what we wanted, right? That's what you wanted, Jaguar fans. They've done it. What else have they done? Well, you asked for Trevor Lawrence to show that he is the franchise guy, to show that he is the guy that he was built up to be. And Trevor Lawrence has done that. Trevor Lawrence has done that in a big way. You could argue, and we'll look at this a little later, that Trevor Lawrence right now is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I don't think you're going too far out on a limb with that. You could argue right now that the Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback is among the top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Another check mark. It's what we asked for, right? Everybody that wants the Jaguars to succeed. Have us be in the playoff hunt. Have us play meaningful football in December. Let Trevor show that he's the guy we believed he was all along. Check, check, and check. Travis Etienne, how's he coming back from the foot injury? Will there be any lingering effects? Travis Etienne, although admittedly he has slowed down a little bit, not injury related, just playing tough defenses as of late, he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher this year. He's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher in his first year in the NFL, coming off a Liz Frank foot injury. That's another check mark. What about the free agents? What about all that money that was spent on Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram and Foye Oluokun and Fatukasi? All 5 of those guys have been very good for the Jaguars. Some of them have been awesome. Oluokun has been awesome as a Jaguar this year. He might lead the league in tackles when all is said and done. He's probably going to break Paul Posluszny's Jaguar single-season record for tackles. Fatukasi has been good. And those 3 offensive guys that they overspent for, quote-unquote overspent for, that's what everybody said, right? They're not any good. They don't have a true number 1 receiver. What are they doing paying Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram all that money? Well, 188 catches, 2,077 yards, 13 touchdowns. That's what they've given you in 13 games. That's another check mark. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? The defense has struggled. Josh Allen has not had the year we had hoped. You could argue Trayvon Walker has not had the year we all hoped. So there are some issues in that regard. But by and large, the Jaguars have given this city, this fan base, everything we asked for coming into the year. Which brings me back to Sunday, and really for the rest of the season. Dallas, at the Jets, at Houston, home against Tennessee. I hope that we make a playoff run. I hope that we beat Dallas and Tennessee loses to the Chargers, then all of a sudden, whoa, the Jaguars control their own destiny with 3 games to go. That would be absolutely incredible. I'm all for it. I hope it happens. But the bottom line is the Jaguars coming off a 1-win season in 2020, a 3-win season in 2021, and yet all I hear about driving in, talking to friends, is playoffs, 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 right? The P word. The P word. Playoffs.
The P word, playoffs.
Yes. Thank you, Gene. You don't need to make the playoffs for this season to be a success. The Jaguars have done what you asked them to do. They're in the hunt. Meaningful football in December. Trevor Lawrence is the man. ETN, 1,000 yards. Free agents worth the money. Whether you want to call it a success or not, the bottom line is the Jaguars have done what this fan base wanted them to do. And if that's the criteria to determine whether something's a success or not, then this season's already a success. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. Dallas rolls in. Dallas can clinch a playoff berth with a win. There'll be a lot of Cowboy fans here. A lot of Cowboy fans. 16 years in the making. The Cowboys have not been to Jacksonville since 2006. That's an anomaly when it comes to the schedule. That doesn't happen. Only reason it happened here is because the last time Dallas was scheduled to be here, in 2014, the game was in London. So it's going to be a great atmosphere. And actually, let's get into that. Doug Peterson earlier today talked about a lot of different things with the Jaguar media. One of the things he talked about, though, was the atmosphere, right? He is expecting a great atmosphere on Sunday between the Cowboys and the Jaguars.
You know, it's going to be, I think, an electric atmosphere with the crowd, that's expected here. And I know the Cowboys travel well. I've been a part of these games for, a while, and they travel well. Their fans do, and should be fun.
Speaking of the game, this young Jaguar team, they all have played a lot of big, meaningful games in college, right? I mean, Trevor was in the college football playoff time and time again. Trayvon Walker, although I know he's dealing with a high ankle, but he was in the college football national championship game not that long ago. So they've played in big games on the college level. But by and large, 75-80% of the Jaguar roster has not played in a lot of big NFL games. You could make the case this is a big NFL game, even though the Jaguars come in at 5-8. Trevor Lawrence met the media today as well. He was asked if the team understands the importance of this game. And it clearly is a big game for the Jaguars. No question about it. It's a game the Jaguars need to win. It's a game the Jaguars, if they lose, they're not eliminated necessarily, but it certainly doesn't help matters. Here's Trevor on if the team understands what this game means on Sunday.
We all understand how important this game is, and every game's important, but especially with where we're at, and like we talked about a few weeks ago, kind of the situation we put ourselves in with some of those losses early. It's just where we're at, backs up against the wall, and we gotta fight our way out, and I think we got the perfect group to do it. So we understand how big this game is, and every game moving forward, this stretch is huge. So we got a great opportunity.
Speaking of Trevor, he was also asked about kind of the turning point in his season. Everybody points to that London game, right? The awful interception in the end zone to Justin Simmons that cost the Jaguars points. The interception to end the game, Denver beating Jacksonville in London. Was that the turning point for Trevor Lawrence this year? He talked about that today.
Yeah, I think there's been a few of those moments, really in my career so far. But I think at that point, I'll never forget how I felt in that locker room after the game. Obviously it wasn't a good day for me, and I really just felt like, it felt like that a couple times, but none more than after that game. Really felt like I let the team down. Should have won that game. I think we had lost 4. That was our 5th one in a row. So I never forgot how I felt in that locker room. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm gonna 1, start taking care of the ball, but 2, I just want to be the player that I know I can be.
To that point, obviously he looks like he's playing with a lot more confidence. Doug Peterson today was asked about Trevor and about the confidence he seems to be showing every week now on the field.
Yeah, it's getting better from the standpoint that, we have a lot of communication throughout the week. I'm getting a better feel, obviously, for what he likes and what he's comfortable with, and so we put game plans together that way too. So he has, a lot of confidence in the plays and what we're calling, but it just comes with time.
Denmark, it's always good to get a feel for what somebody likes and what they're comfortable with. That's a key part of life, actually. Not just on the football field, but in other aspects of life. That advice is free of charge.
100% discount.
Yeah, hey man, you got to know what somebody likes, and you got to know what they're comfortable with. But that definitely applies to football. There's no question about that. And Trevor and Doug building that rapport. You go back and you watch that Tennessee game. Trevor Lawrence destroyed the Titans. Just destroyed them. I mean, if you're having a bad day at work in the city of Jacksonville, or if something bad happens to you and you happen to be a Jaguar fan, just go back and watch the second half of that Titans game, and you will instantly feel better. It was a clinic by Trevor Lawrence on Sunday, and hopefully that continues. You can score on the Dallas defense. Now, they have good pass rushers. They'll turn the ball over on you. I mean, they got obviously guys that intercept the ball back there, but they do give up points. The problem is they score a lot of points. And the Jaguars are banged up. You see the injury report today? Trayvon Walker, a high ankle. I doubt he's going to play. Brandon Scherf didn't practice with an abdomen. Lawrence didn't practice with his toe, although obviously Lawrence is going to play on Sunday. The Jaguars are banged up. We'll see how the injuries progress during the week. But it's a big one. Fox is sending their main broadcast team, right? Burkhardt, Olsen, the Fox A team, if you will be here on Sunday for the Cowboys and the Jaguars. So a majority of the country in the 1 o'clock window on Fox will see Dallas and Jacksonville. Let's talk Cowboys and Jaguars with John Shipley of Jaguar Report. He does a terrific job with that website, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. It's a Wednesday night in the city of Jacksonville with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. It's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Get personal with your favorite NFL team.
Jaguar turned to a saber-toothed tiger.
Join Mike Dempsey, Fat Tony, and E.T. on Jaguars Today.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Every weekday from 10 to noon on 1010XL.
The last thing you want to be dealing with this holiday season is a septic emergency. Plan ahead and schedule to have your septic tank pumped out now. Our wonderful team at Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services is standing by and ready for your call. We'll get your septic tank pumped out right away, giving you one less thing you have to worry about this holiday season. Check out our reviews online and give us a ring today. 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
Outdoor comfort can feel hard to come by once the summer season settles in. Luckily, here at Armor Guard Exteriors, we offer retractable screens by Sinesta. Not only can these screens help you find shade, but they can also reduce glare, lessen the impact of wind, protect your patio furniture, and keep insects out of your space. Ready to learn more? Then call Armor Guard Exteriors today at 904-906-8669.
Expert Automotive, Jacksonville's only automotive repair shop, where every car we work on gets a lifetime repair warranty. Never pay for service again once it's fixed. Winter travel is around the corner, and now is the time to get your winterization. Do you still have AC issues? Freon prices are falling, and we can save you money. At Expert Automotive, we service all makes and models. Call 374-3373 today to schedule your appointment. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Rubinsky. The physicians at Prime Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Prime Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On December 14, 1938, Major League Baseball agrees on the use of a standard ball while disagreeing on increasing rosters from 23 to 25.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Prosser here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will only cost you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or consolidate other debt or even start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto at 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. You could use that extra cash for the holidays, and you can get it with Loan Pronto. Also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of Gator Bowl Sports. The TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game and events have been a Jacksonville staple for more than 75 years. We support more than 4,200 local youth annually through Gator Bowl charities. Gator Bowl Sports is a perfect way for local companies and individuals to get involved. We'd love to meet with you and talk about how you can join our team. If you'd like to learn more, contact us at 798-1700. 798-1700.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. Together, we're Anajar and Levine. If you've been hurt in a car crash, we'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call Anajar and Levine for your free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. Main office, Jacksonville.
People often think if they don't have symptoms, they shouldn't get tested for colon cancer. If you're 45 or older, it's time to get checked. Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. Protect your end zone. If you're over 45, ask your doctor about a colonoscopy. 45 is the new 50. The Borland Groover Foundation is a nonprofit organization devoted to helping the community and save lives. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
Royal Pest Services, a local company you can trust. Royal Pest is a certified installer of tap insulation, which stands for thermal, acoustic, and pest control. Reduce that electric bill by adding pest protection. It's that easy. Online at RoyalPestServices.com.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, hello. Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Cowboys, Sunday, 1 o'clock, TIAA Bank Field. Probably the biggest home game in Jacksonville in the month of December since what, maybe 2017. It's going to be a big one. The first time in 16 years. Hard to believe since Dallas has played here. 2006 was the last time the Cowboys visited Duval County. John Shipley, always kind enough to join us. His terrific work can be found at Jaguar Report, which is a part of SI, and he joins us here on 1010XL. John, how we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, my friend?
John, we're good, man. All right, I certainly want to dive in to the Jaguars and the Cowboys, but boy, let's take one last look back at what was kind of a ding-dong, the witch is dead type moment for me, John, with all the beatings Jacksonville had taken up there in Nashville. Heck, even go back before the streak, go back to the late 90s. The 99 team lost there. The 2017 team lost there. The best teams in Jaguar history lost in Nashville. Not this year. What a win for this organization last Sunday.
Yeah, no, I really think it's a game that, no matter how this next month goes, maybe the Jaguars are able to, make Week 18 and win an earned game. Maybe they've dug themselves too far of a hole. no matter what I think happens over the next month, I really think that, this last week in Nashville could be a game that we look back on in a year, maybe in a year or two, and say, that was kind of a changing of the guard of the AFC South, because it really looked like, before our eyes, one team ascending and the other team kind of, plateauing and realizing, okay, we got some big problems moving forward in terms of, it's an aging roster. Tennessee, they've missed on some draft picks. They've traded away some of the best talent in A.J. Brown. And then the Jaguars, I think this is probably going to be, if you just look at the next couple seasons, this is probably going to be one of the, worst teams Doug Peterson has in Jacksonville. And there's still a team that's capable of, completely punching a team in the mouth like the Titans. So I obviously a massive win. They exercise a lot of demons, and I think it's going to be a win that we look back on when the Jaguars are in control of the AFC South in the not too distant future and think, okay, that's when, the tide began to shift.
John, you and I talked right around the bye week, so I haven't had you on since either the Baltimore game or the Tennessee game. We'll throw out Detroit, and we'll flush that just like the team did. Beating the Ravens and beating the Titans, those are two good wins, man. What do you think has happened to this team since the bye week? Why are they playing so much better now than they did beforehand?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that they've done a good job of really realizing the sense of urgency that's needed for the season. I know nobody outside of, the building was talking about playoffs or making a run for the AFC South during the offseason or during training camp, but I think teams realize that, it might be cliche to say, but they really do have everything, right in front of them. They kind of control their own destiny in a lot of ways, and I think that they've embraced that. And I also think that the staff has done a good job of, maybe making some changes, even subtle ones in the last couple of weeks. Against the Ravens, I thought they had a really strong game plan for limiting their running game with, how they used an extra safety and extra linebacker for the first time this season. They did some of that against Tennessee as well. I thought Trayvon Walker, how they used him on Sunday was really, kind of a reflection of a staff that's kind of growing more self-awareness, and they're saying that, okay, maybe what we wanted to do coming into the season isn't what we should be doing. Trayvon, I put out there that he's rushed 22 snaps this entire season with his hand in the dirt, and 8 of those came on Sunday against the Titans. So, they obviously made more of an effort to put him in that role, and I just think little adjustments like that are something that you're really seeing from them. John
Shipley of Jaguar Report here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. I love that stat. 22 times Walker's hand has been on the ground. Almost half of them came on Sunday in Nashville. John, same question. The team is playing better, and Trevor Lawrence. That Baltimore game I thought was his best game as a Jaguar, and now I think this Tennessee game is his best game as a Jaguar. Trevor, look, last year is what it was, but even in September and early to mid-October, Trevor was struggling a little bit, missing guys, throwing costly interceptions in the end zone, and now here we are, John, coming into week, 15, and he's a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. What has happened with him?
No, absolutely. And I really think that the Denver Broncos game in London was a big wake-up call for Lawrence. He obviously, that was the last time he threw an interception. It was a 2-interception game. He had that awful one in the end zone when they could have gone up 14-0, and then he had one on the last drive of the game. And I really think that Lawrence, did a lot of reflection after that game and realized, kind of enough is enough, kind of time to cut the crap time. The excuses of I'm a young quarterback are kind of going out the window. And just since then, I think that you're seeing him play obviously the best football of his career. I think, the Raiders game, Ravens game, the Titans game, I think these are all games you can consider, maybe the best games of his career. And they've all happened in the last month. But I think he's playing the smartest football of his career. You're seeing him take calculated risks. You're seeing him be very precise in his decisions. He's, in my opinion, has taken more checkdowns and safer throws. That play the other day where he evaded pressure and then found Evan Ingram for the check down, and Ingram nearly got the first down. I believe they converted a play later. That's a play maybe earlier in the season, say week 1, that you don't see Lawrence kind of do. So I just think it's the natural maturation of a quarterback. I think he's obviously gotten much more comfortable in the scheme, which you would expect for him to look better, I think, in the end of the year than at the beginning of the year. But, I said yesterday on Twitter, I think this year alone, is probably going to be, the worst year Lawrence has under Peterson, and it's already statistically one of the best seasons a Jaguars quarterback has ever had. So I just think the sky is the absolute limit, and the ceiling is the ceiling.
It's interesting. I don't know if Jaguar fans didn't like him beforehand. I think a lot of them love him now, not only the performance on Sunday, but waving goodbye to the Titan fans, mixing it up at the end there where he points to the scoreboard when Tennessee players started jawing with him. John, I look around the league, and I look at like Aaron Rodgers with the "We Own You" to Chicago, or Tom Brady obviously mixes it up. You look at Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Mahomes might be the outlier. He doesn't do a ton of that. But a lot of the good quarterbacks in this league, John, they have some attitude, man. They have some moxie, whatever you want to call it. And, boy, Lawrence showed a little bit of that on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, even during training camp, this was a guy who I was saying, he was growing more confident. It seemed like last year, he did what rookies, in my opinion, kind of did what they were supposed to and kind of, just put their head down and work. Didn't really let the personality maybe come out as much. But I think you've seen consistently this year. And again, especially since the Broncos game in London, he's always been a very, self-confident guy. I don't think he's ever doubted his abilities, but you're kind of seeing it kind of exude through really his actions through these last couple of games. And I think, Trevor's somebody who, he's, when you see him in press conferences or see him in those videos that maybe the team will post, before game in the huddle, he's a more laid back type guy. But anybody who questions, in my opinion, his kind of fire and his energy for the game of football, I don't think is paying attention. I mean, I even go back to the Giants game when, they lost in that last second near touchdown to Kirk and other moments throughout that game. He was extremely fiery throughout that game, but the cameras weren't on him, so fans didn't really get that picture of him. And now I think you're starting to see a closer reflection of what his personality really is. And, he's a gamer. Anybody I think who's doubted that before, I think he's proven that. Dude's just a gamer.
John, 188 for 2,077 and 13 touchdowns. 188 catches, 2,077 yards, 13 touchdowns are what you've gotten from Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram through 13 games this year. A lot of people didn't like those signings. You and I have talked about that. But my goodness, what Ingram did on Sunday, what we've seen Zay Jones do numerous times, obviously Christian Kirk as well, turns out, at least for 2022, man, those signings appeared to be pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was the best game a Jaguars tight end has ever had. And what was really fascinating to me was he had his big performance after kind of a bad start to the game. I think their first 3 targets to Ingram, none of them were completed. I think there was one drop in there, and it was getting to the point where you were kind of thinking, okay, stop throwing the ball to him, and then he just suddenly burst onto the scene. He was great after the catch. He's somebody who, I can tell you this, inside the building, whether it's teammates, coaching staff, he is somebody they've absolutely loved since he got there. And in free agency, that's always a risk because, you obviously watch guys on tape, but you're not always sure about the kind of guy you're going to get. But he came into, this year with the Jaguars with really kind of wanted to prove that, he could play and put behind any of the reputation he might have gotten in New York as a guy who, drops or fumbles the ball a lot. And he's just absolutely loved, by coaches, by teammates. He's one of the hardest workers. And that's what's been so cool to me to see him kind of come into his own because, he's somebody that they love in Jacksonville. And I really think he's somebody that they would like to keep around. And I mean, when you look at the offense in general, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram are all on pace to have the best seasons of their careers. And I just think that's a testament, not only to them, obviously, for executing, but to Doug Peterson for really, getting the pieces and getting the most out of them.
He's a priority, right, this offseason? I know he's only on a 1-year deal. Like you said, they'd like to keep him. The finances have to make sense. They're going to have to make some cuts to move some cap things around. But at the end of the day, I would think Ingram's got to be one of their top priorities to keep.
No, absolutely. I really think the way the Jaguars are going to function in the offseason moving forward is, yeah, they're obviously going to try to fill some holes in free agency when you can, but I think their priorities are going to be drafting and developing their own talent and then retaining their own talent. And I think they're going to view Ingram in that way. And like you said, the financials have to make sense. They can't afford to pay him like a top 3 or top 4 tight end or anything like that. But it can be a reasonable deal, which I think Ingram would potentially be open to just because he's seen how well he can fit with this quarterback and with this scheme. Then I think it would work for all sides.
Couple of more for John Shipley of Jaguar Report. All right, we have not had meaningful December football in this city in a long time. We have also not had the Dallas Cowboys come in a long time. One of the quirks of the schedule when you play games in London is that sometimes teams won't come to Jacksonville for a considerable period. Dallas hasn't been here for 16 years. It's amazing to think about that. When they were supposed to be here in 2014, the game was in London. So finally the Cowboys roll in. It's a meaningful game in December, John, and I would think the atmosphere at that stadium on Sunday, albeit there'll be thousands of Cowboy fans there, we know that, but it should be a college-type atmosphere in that stadium.
Oh, no, absolutely. I think this is going to be a game that's absolutely rocking. And to me, December football is just so much different than, September or October football. It's just a different feeling in the air. And, take into account the Cowboys are coming into town. It's bound to be, Cowboys always travel well. Some of the biggest stars in football, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. I mean, this is going to be a game where, the Jaguars can really make a statement across the league. And I think anytime there's a game like that, people are going to get up for it.
John, the matchup doesn't appear to be good. Dave Campo, I thought, said it best on the fifth quarter with us. He did not like the matchup against Detroit. He loved the matchup against Tennessee, and he was right on both accounts. This week, again, he does not like the matchup that the Jaguars have against the Cowboys. What they do well, Jacksonville doesn't necessarily do well, which could potentially be a problem.
No, absolutely. I mean, offensively, Detroit always looked like a bad matchup, for the Jaguars. And unfortunately, Dallas has a lot of those same abilities. They have guys in Lamb and Michael Gallup and Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz. Tony Pollard can be a big piece of the passing game. I mean, they have a lot of playmakers to the point where I think this is going to be a game that if the Jaguars are going to win, their offense has to keep pace with Dallas's offense. I don't think you're going to be seeing the Jaguars get into a slugfest by any means. I think this is going to be a game that, you either score a lot of points and keep up or you don't, and it looks like the Detroit Lions game.
And finally, what I think and what I hope people realize, regardless of what happens Sunday and really the rest of the way, but particularly on Sunday, if you were to tell people here in Jacksonville, John, and you know this, man, you interact with all these fans on Twitter, you talk to a lot of them just like I do. If you were to tell them at the end of August, hey, come December, it'll be 18th or whatever it is, that you're going to be playing a game where you're still alive for the postseason, you're playing a meaningful game against the Dallas Cowboys, and Trevor Lawrence has thrown for 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 6 picks, I think Jaguar fans would have said, where do I sign? They're to me, you hate the term playing with house money, but from where this team was coming into the year, heck, where they even were a month ago, this is a phenomenal situation that they're in, at least to be a part of on Sunday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really think this season has, I predicted 6-11, I believe, coming in. And I think if you're looking just at the way Trevor's been playing, at the way, Peterson's gotten the most out of the skill group, at the offensive line, at ETN, I mean, Trayvon Walker, who's, arguably his 2 best games have been the last 2 games. Tyson Campbell, I just think there is a lot to like about what has happened with the Jaguars this year, even if some of the games, haven't exactly gone that way. And you hope that they learn to take advantage of the opportunities that they get again next year. But, I mean, I think this year should have people very excited for the future.
You can read John Shipley's terrific work at Jaguar Report. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. John, enjoy it, brother. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk again soon.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Have a good week, my friend.
Thank you to John Shipley of Jaguar Report for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up next, we'll get into the world of college football. The Florida Gators, they play a bowl game on Saturday. Yeah, they play on Saturday. And then a week from today is the December early signing period. Let's talk college ball next on Hacker After Dark.
You down with JAG?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with JAG?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with JAG?
Yeah, you know me.
Who's down with JAG?
The Bold City.
1010XL, proud flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, have you heard why people are driving from all over the country to buy from Beaver? Stop waiting for months for the vehicle you're looking for. We have new inventory on the lot, priced to sell and waiting for you. Plus, every new vehicle comes with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty for your peace of mind. It's simple. We want to provide you with exceptional service before and after the sale. We'll see you at Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville or Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine. We're here to wow you.
You don't have to go through yet another year with that knee pain or back pain. People with chronic pain are getting real lasting relief with QC Kinetics. Leon Searcy here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine with locations right here in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. These unique protocols use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restore damaged tissues, so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Got shoulder pain, excruciating hip pain? If you have any arthritis pain or lingering pain from any injury, don't let them operate on you or give you more steroids. And say no to pain pills. Call QC Kinetics and see if their life-changing, all-natural treatments can get you living your best life in this year. People are raving about these treatments. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as next year. Make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra.
Hacker here from my friends at Xfinity. Well, get the speed you need at a great price. It's also the fastest internet on the largest gig speed network. Speaking of gig speed, Xfinity gig speed internet is available to 99% of their footprint. You can also enjoy all your favorite apps. They're all in one place. That's with the Flex 4K streaming box that's free with your Xfinity internet. You can stay connected on the go with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. And Xfinity's internet service brings your entire experience together by connecting other services like XFi, Advanced Security, Xfinity Flex, and more. This is based on Xfinity's fastest available download speeds, not available in all areas. Performance may be limited by customer's device configuration. Go to Xfinity.com. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit an Xfinity store today. Jacksonville, do what I did and get hooked up with the good folks of Xfinity.
Hey, it's Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Santa told me that you've been thinking about a Y membership, but not really sure how it works. So come check out the Y for free. Every Friday this month, the Y is free. That means you and your buddies and your spouse and your kids can all take advantage of free Fridays at the Y. More than just a gym, the Y is a community where you develop relationships, achieve your goals, and belong to something bigger than yourself. This month, Fridays are free, so find your Y.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla? Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
Rich in history and bouncing back into relevance.
It's what you do on the field that counts.
Listen for the Performance Painting Hurricane Report on 1010XL. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
This holiday season, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts from Ping and Bushnell. Save $150 off on the Ping G425 drivers, the most forgiving driver in golf. And there's hot gifts from Bushnell. Save up to $75 on the Tour V5 and Tour V5 shift rangefinders. We also have gift cards for those favorite golfers on your list. Don't miss these holiday gifts and more happening now with Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Dashing through the crowds to my Verizon store. Gonna shop phones, tablets, smartwatches, and more. There's something for everyone on my holiday list. It's the only place to go right now for all those techie gifts.
Head over to your Verizon store now and get a free 5G phone with select trade-in and select 5G unlimited plans.
and another gift, like a tablet, smartwatch, and earbuds. All on Verizon.
This offer won't last long, so I'm going there right now. Verizon has the gifts to make my family say wow.
'Tis the season to switch to Verizon. Get to your local Verizon store now. The network America relies on. Verizon.
A service plan is required for gifts. 5G phone up to $999.99 device payment purchase or full retail purchase with newer upgrade smartphone line required. Less up to $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. 0% APR. Additional terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com for offer details.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Jax Police Athletic League inaugural 5K and Fun Run is Saturday, January 7th at Ed Austin Park on Monument Road. Register at jaxpalsports.org.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating at a local blood donation center.
City Rescue Mission has been providing food, clothing, and love for over 70 years to the homeless in Jacksonville. If someone you know is struggling, City Rescue Mission is here to help. Learn more about the City Rescue Mission at crmjax.org.
The Wounded Warrior Project provides what medicine and technology can't: community, counseling, and a second chance. Find ways to help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Creeks Athletic Association in St. Johns County offers a variety of sports for children 5 to 18. Learn how to get your child involved at caaleague.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. We're glad you're with us. Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. All right, so Florida plays on Saturday in the Las Vegas Bowl. And it's going to be interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to get their first real significant playing time as a Florida Gator. One of them's Jack Miller, the quarterback. Never started a game in college football, has never taken a snap in a Gator uniform, and he's in there. Have at it, Jack, on Saturday against Oregon State. Of course, Anthony Richardson declared for the draft. The Jalen Kitna situation happened, so they have a problem at quarterback. Jack Miller and Max Brown, they're only two scholarship guys remaining. Jack Miller's job. You're going to see a lot of young guys as well, because keep in mind, Florida has had 16 players enter the transfer portal. They have also had, 5 guys declare for the draft. You add that to the injuries that happened at the end of the year, and there's just simply not a lot of guys that are going to be available on Saturday. So you combine that with also the fact that they're playing a top 15 team in Oregon State. Oregon State's last game out, they beat Oregon. I mean, it's a good Oregon State football team. They're a 10.5-point favorite against the Gators. I'm actually surprised that Las Vegas has this on the board with all the uncertainty about Florida's roster, but it is the Las Vegas Bowl, right? You have to have the Las Vegas Bowl on the board in Las Vegas. So I do kind of get that. From a Gator fan perspective, I imagine it'll be a cool trip, right? You get to go to Vegas. It's an 11:30 a.m. local kick on Saturday for Florida and Oregon State. 2:30 East Coast, 11:30 out in Las Vegas. So that's kind of odd. But for Florida, just go out there and compete, man. No one's expecting you to win the game. I'm a little curious to see how Jack Miller looks, to see how Jack Miller plays. But in no way, shape, or form do I expect Florida to win the game. What are you trying to get out of this? Well, I think you're trying to get a look at some young guys. I think you're trying to get a look at some guys that are going to have to step in next year to replace guys that are leaving either through the portal or into the NFL or to graduation. To me, that is the first and most important thing. After that, don't get any big injuries. I mean, are you going to live and die with whether they win the Las Vegas Bowl? Of course not. It'd be nice to beat Oregon State, to beat a top 15 team. That'd be a nice way to go out for year number 1 for Billy Napier there in Gainesville, but I'm certainly not counting on that to happen. But we'll see. It should be a lot of fun. Florida and Oregon State on Saturday. There's 2 bowl games on Friday. I think there's actually 5 bowl games on Saturday, including Florida and Oregon State. And then you get into all the bowl action really heating up next week. We'll talk a little college football. Let's talk Florida. A little Florida State, a little Miami. National Signing Day, at least the December early signing period, is 1 week from today. Bill Bender of the Sporting News, always kind enough to join us. He is the national college football writer for the Sporting News, and he's coming up next. It's a Wednesday night here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark and Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us.
All right, here we go.
Former Jaguars QB David Garrard joins Jaguars Today to talk Jags.
Let's go, Googans. Let's go, Googans.
Mondays on 1010XL.
Man, I can't sing.
Brought to you by Napa Auto Care.
The wait is over because Toyotathon is on right now at Arlington Toyota. During Toyotathon at Arlington, you can get a new 2022 Tacoma TRD Sport 4x4 up to $1,900 off MSRP. 18 in stock to choose from, folks. And at Arlington, every new Toyota comes with a lifetime warranty and 30 days to love your new purchase or exchange it. Don't wait. Toyotathon is on. Shop in person 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Though no longer little, teens still need a lot of love. Yet teens in foster care have a harder time finding it, as 82% of foster families are home to kids 12 or younger. You can positively impact a teen's life as a foster parent with help from Family Support Services of North Florida. You provide patience, love, and understanding, and Family Support Services will offer specialized training, resources, and a community of support. Take the next step at foster-now.org. That's foster-now.org.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. And for unlimited time, your consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now 904-664-8217.
If you want to work with new tech security cameras or home automation, Tyson Sound and Security is looking for you now. You'll start at $20 an hour or more, and you can qualify for a $1,000 signing bonus. Tired of that warehouse or food industry job? Try working for Tyson Sound and Security. They will train you. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call to apply 762-1000. Tyson Sound and Security is an equal opportunity employer. 762-1000.
WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Are you looking to grow your career? Good news. Chick-fil-A restaurants in your area are hiring and have what you are looking for: unique opportunities and excellent benefits. Chick-fil-A operators are known for investing in their team members through things like mentorship and coaching, leadership development, and competitive pay. Don't miss the chance to be part of your local Chick-fil-A team. Apply today by visiting your local Chick-fil-A or apply online. Most Chick-fil-A restaurants are operated by independent franchise owners. Chick-fil-A, an equal opportunity employer.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Brackish Vodka, part of the Brackish brands, is made right here in Jacksonville. 100% from corn and gluten-free. It's the local answer to Tito's. Brackish Vodka is the proud partner of Growlers Bar and Tailgaters, and we will be pouring free samples of our local vodka, as well as selling merch at each home game. Brackish brands are for those who live life slightly salty. And once you try Brackish Vodka, you'll be slightly salty too. You have never had a vodka this smooth. Enjoy brackish vodka for brunch at Ida Claire.
A Dream Finders home is an amazing way to celebrate the holidays. Unwrap your family's future in a new St. Johns County community like Shearwater or Beacon Lake as 2022 comes to a close and 2023 awaits. What could be better than an expertly built, energy-efficient, move-in ready Dream Finders home to enjoy everything that makes the holiday season merry and bright? How about an interest rate lock special from Dream Finders, which will secure your new home at a big savings? It's the holiday gift that keeps on giving. Happy holidays to all from Dream Finders Homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Mark Watson to tell you about HardballCreative.com. It's kind of like a place on the internet where you can shop for products to put your company logo on. Actually, that's exactly what it is. HardballCreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Hard to believe the Gators play a bowl game this Saturday as bowl season kicks off. Of course, it will end with the college football playoff, which is still about 2.5 weeks away. Bill Bender of the Sporting News, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Bill, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Bill, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. And certainly I want to talk about the playoff, but for our audience here in Jacksonville, obviously it's all about Florida. They finish off a disappointing 6-6 regular season. But, Bill, my goodness, the offseason, I guess, has been going on 2.5 weeks, and between the transfer portal and NFL declarations and the early signing period, the last 17 days has been a very, very interesting offseason for Billy Napier as he intends to turn this roster around.
Yeah, and I think it started with Anthony Richardson, right, and declaring for the NFL draft, moving on there. Like you said, the transfer portal, how many players are they going to have for the bowl game? This is another classic case of the ills. I don't know that the ills is the right word, but the changes that college football's made where certain rosters may flip enough that, I mean, obviously the portal is going to be very important for Billy Napier here over the next few weeks.
Bill, a guy like you that's covered this game for a while now, I mean, what do you make of the transfer portal? I think there's over 1,000 guys currently in it. I mean, it's exploding. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, your colleague Matt Hayes, he has to put up with all my text about youth sports, and I've got 2 kids coming up through it, so I bug them with them all the time. But my point is, the lessons, part of me likes it because it creates opportunities. Part of me thinks it's absurd a larger part of me thinks it's absurd that there are that many kids in the transfer portal and moving around. And, you know, is it a commitment issue? Is it just playing time? Is it fed from when they were kids my kids' age? So, I think they need to move it back though to after the final bowl game, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the NFL. What if they did free agency wild card started?
Yeah.
How do you think that would go?
That's a good point, and there's so much going on in December, from the early signing period to bowl season to guys coming and going. I mean, we talk about Florida, right? They play a bowl game on Saturday. Now, Billy Napier, I believe, said at least some of the guys in the portal may play, which is kind of weird, but the Florida Gators might only have 60 scholarship players on the sideline in Las Vegas on Saturday. I think that's what you're talking about. It's just the timing of it doesn't really sync up right now with where we are in the season.
Right, along with signing day as well. And obviously coaches move on, and that's part of this too. But this happened with LSU last year. They had barely enough kids to play in a bowl game. And at that point, you're wondering, I hesitate to use the word safety concerns, but there are, right? If you only have so many kids and these guys haven't taken real snaps in college football games, then you run into some problems there. So, it's a little bit tougher of a challenge. I did watch Florida's last game of the regular season against Florida State. I was impressed with their fight in that game, especially in the running game. But, it was just Florida State made one or two more plays in the clutch, especially with that quarterback.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Bill, how would you summarize year number 1 for Billy Napier?
I think the term I used when I was on your show last time was it was a bit of a roller coaster, right? And I still thought there was room to be headed in the right direction. It was at the time, I think we last talked, it was before Florida LSU. And LSU kind of went the other direction, right? They went up off of that win and, continued to progress and got to the SEC championship game. Florida, unfortunately, trended downward a little bit. But year 1 is what it is. We'll see what he can build. And I think it does, obviously, like any other conversation, it starts at the quarterback position. What's the plan under center for the Gators in 2023? That will determine where they go in the SEC East. I mean, look what Tennessee did with Hendon Hooker.
There's no question about it. And look, Josh Heupel, I think, is kind of the poster child now for a lot of these bigger programs. He's probably a guy a lot of his colleagues aren't going to like because you saw what Heupel did in year 2 in Knoxville. Is that going to be the new expectation for these big programs to be able to get back in the conversation nationally like Heupel did in less than 2 years on the job? And we always talk, Bill, about the learning curve for, say, freshmen entering college football. Is there a learning curve for coaches that have year 1 in a Power 5? I mean, what Billy Napier did at Louisiana was outstanding, but Louisiana's not Florida. And do you think he got some on-the-job training this year from the Sun Belt to now where he is in the Southeastern Conference?
Yeah, I mean, from everything from, play calling to, scheme to just seeing the difference in talent that's in the SEC. I mean, I would follow some Florida games, and you would wonder, why are they, I hate to put it this way because you sound like a fan, but why are they throwing so much, right? Like, just line it up and go, run the ball. They had a really dynamic rushing attack at times, and I think some of those things will come into play. I think he'll learn on the recruiting trail what it takes to be successful in the SEC. And, in that division, why not? You should have those expectations. You're Florida, right? They should be competing with Tennessee. They should aspire to compete with Georgia. If you're not, then what are you doing there?
It's a good point. There's no doubt. There's a lot of Gator fans that certainly agree with that sentiment. Bill Bender of the Sporting News. All right, you mentioned Florida State earlier and the transfer portal. And what Mike Norvell did in just revolutionizing that roster, quite frankly, you could argue their top dozen guys are all transfer portal guys. Norvell, to me, should be in conversation for Coach of the Year nationally. They're going to win 10 games. I think they're going to boat race Oklahoma in Orlando, and they'll be 10-3, and I don't think anybody would have picked Florida State to be 10-3 back in mid-August. Bill, how impressed were you by Norvell and the job he's done there in a relatively short amount of time?
He's done a fantastic job of flipping the narrative. He was on the hot seat last summer. Everybody wanted, especially coming off the heels of Deion recruiting Travis Hunter, and that's a whole different story these days. But from the start with the big win against LSU, they had a blip against Clemson where they competed in the second half. But this is getting Florida State back to 10 wins is huge. If they can do that, if they can beat Oklahoma, like you said, I agree with you. I don't think that's going to be much of a game. And having Jordan Travis back for another year, they're poised to make their run in the Atlantic. It might be time for Florida State to get back on top in the ACC. It wouldn't be out of the question.
You look at some of the changes going on at Clemson. Now, the problem is Florida State has to go to Clemson next year, but I would imagine, Bill, when preseason magazines come out, even your own there at Sporting News, in May and June, as we get closer to 2023, I would think a lot of publications are going to pick Florida State in the Atlantic next year.
Yeah, and, obviously they're going to be one of those hot teams. South Carolina will be another one. Notre Dame will be another one. That's what makes Notre Dame and South Carolina such an interesting bowl game, is both of those teams are going to have a lot of momentum at least from prognosticators going into next season. So, yeah, I mean, I think definitely that they're going to be a team that a lot of people pay attention to.
You know, much like in Gainesville with Billy Napier, some disappointment about 6-6. There's some real disappointment in South Florida. Not that they went 5-7. I mean, that's a big part of it. But some of the losses Miami had towards the end of the year, I mean, they just looked disinterested in a lot of games. That Pitt game was a joke to end the season, was an absolute joke in front of about what looked like 15,000 people down there on senior day. I mean, how much of a rebuild does Mario Cristobal really have down there?
They've got a lot of work to do. I mean, obviously they are a player in NIL. They've recruited well. They're always going to get talent to Miami. But this year was another reminder that it's got to happen on the field. And, you know, Texas A&M kind of got the trophy for being the biggest disappointment of the season. Texas A&M beat Miami. So, I mean, I think Miami's got a lot of work to do. I think Cristobal, he'll get it done in terms of making them a competitive team in the ACC. But, you know, like we just talked about, Florida State's not going to wait. Clemson's not going to wait. They don't do divisions anymore. So, you know, it's going to be a climb for them against some other programs. I mean, even North Carolina, they're not going to wait for Miami to catch up.
No, and Miami and Florida both have this problem. At least Florida's got a bowl game, got the extra practices. Miami's had a mass exodus, too. I think both Miami and Florida combined have had like 30 combined guys enter the portal. Cristobal's losing guys left and right. Now, some of that is guys that, quite frankly, they're probably happy aren't returning. But you want to talk about the roster turnover in both Gainesville and Coral Gables. Bill, it's going to be massive in the next couple of weeks and months.
Yep, and I mean, you got to manage that. That's part of this new age world we live in, where signing day means a little less to me. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because I know recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, but then you got to hang on to these guys once you have them. So is Miami and Florida State able to do that? Not only, I mean, one of the disadvantages they have on Florida, and I think I've talked to you about this on the show before, they don't have that SEC patch. Patch matters in recruiting right now because the SEC is the most lucrative, most successful conference in college football. And I think sometimes Miami and Florida State struggle with that a little bit, especially because they're not on top in the ACC. I think it'd be different if Miami and Florida State were the two best programs in the ACC.
Final moments here with Bill Bender of the Sporting News. You brought him up and you piqued my interest before we get into the playoff. What about Deion at Colorado, Bill? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, I think we're all going to the trouble with Deion here is everybody's already got their mind made up, right? There are fans out there that couldn't stand him when he was a player and you know, think he's an egomaniac and all those kind of things. And there's other people that think he's a star and, you know, a viral sensation and will do a good job. I know he'll do a good job recruiting. You know, he's going to do it on his terms. I just wonder. My biggest question is what is a fair expectation for Colorado next year? To me, it's like 7, 6-6, and how do we deal with that if they end up in that 5-7, 6-6 range? Which by any other coach, it would be like, hey, he got him to a bowl game, but he will attract a ton of social media attention, even if he's not looking for it. Like he says, what's he been saying? I'm not hard to find.
Yeah, and look, I thought the match there was interesting because Georgia Tech was open. There was some rumblings about South Florida. To me, Deion Sanders, I mean, he's popular all over. He's a huge figure all over. But Deion in Colorado didn't make a lot of sense to me until, I guess you look at it. He can go out there for a couple of years. They might have been the worst team in 1A football last year. He can make all the mistakes that he wants. If he gets to 6-6 or 7-5, that's a massive turnaround, and in 2 or 3 years, maybe a bigger program comes calling.
Exactly, and I think you kind of did my thought process. At first, I was like, man, is that job big enough for him? And then you're thinking, well, they'll take 9-3. He'll be a hero considering that program's been off the radar. So, and it would maybe groom him for if he's willing to overtake on that giant job in the SEC or the ACC.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News. All right, we're still a couple of weeks out, but certainly Georgia, Ohio State. Boy, what a matchup that's going to be. And then you got Michigan, TCU in the other national semifinal. Bill, what are your thoughts on the playoff?
Well, I think Michigan, TCU is going to be, we're going to talk a lot about style. Which team can get their style going? Is it a Big 12 type game where TCU makes a couple huge plays and plays wide open, plays free with Duggan, and makes Michigan sweat with that ball control offense? Or is it Michigan just bludgeons them to death with that huge offensive line? And then on the other side, Ohio State, Georgia, what kind of chip does Ohio State play with? I mean, they have NFL talent all over the place. They've got All-Americans too, but it's a tough assignment to go down to Georgia. Are they going to get kind of beat up like Michigan did, or do they come out and take a swing like they did in 2014 when they went down and won the Sugar Bowl against Alabama when nobody gave them a chance? But I think Georgia wins close. I think Michigan wins moderate, like 10-point range, and get a rematch of last year's semifinal. We'll see what's different.
Hey, Bill, final question. We're having a 14 playoff this year, a 14 playoff next year, and then the 12-teamer arrives in 2024, 2025. What will that do for college football?
I think it'll increase interest. It'll increase money. It'll, more games, more teams, more interest. I mean, I was one of those guys that was a little reserved about the NFL expanding its playoff, and it's actually been pretty cool. Now, will it change the way we watch the regular season? Absolutely. There'll be, it'll be more about the playoff and less about those individual games that can define seasons. So I see the checks and balances of it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And in some ways, it's better than I think every year is different. Like this year would be a year for the BCS. Michigan and Georgia, they've been the two best teams, and you could skip around, but that's not how the sport's designed anymore.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Bill, know you're busy this time of year, man. If we don't talk beforehand, happy holidays, and we'll talk soon in 2023.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays, happy Merry Christmas, all that stuff. Thank you so much.
He's the one the defense couldn't do without.
A leader on this defense from day one.
Superior Fence and Rail highlights the defensive player of the game.
Doing yeoman's work again with this defense.
Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
This month, the Key Buick GMC received 4.59% up to 72 months on Buick Enclave, Envision, Encore, and Encore GX. The stunning Buick Envision is here, and it's been named the best luxury compact SUV by Consumer Reports, and Key has them in stock now. Key Buick GMC, where every new Buick comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty and no dealer markups. We are professional grade. Visit us today, Key Buick GMC, on the corner of Southside and Gate.
Thinking about a graduate degree? Consider Webster University. Enrolling now for MBA degrees with several areas of emphasis to fit your career goals. Earn your degree completely online or in person one night each week at the local campus. Webster University is a military-friendly, nonprofit university. They accept VA benefits, employer tuition assistance, and financial aid. You've waited long enough. Apply today at webster.edu. Webster University, an accredited degree that fits your lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and three-time champion.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about joint pain.
Trust me, I know about joint pain. Sure, I made it look easy, but if my body could speak, it would say, I'm in pain.
Are you living with chronic joint pain? Knees, hips, lower back, shoulders? Don't just assume the old treatments are the only treatments.
I've gone under the knife to get rid of pain, but now there are options, and you need to check them out.
Emmitt's talking about QC Kinetics, exciting new natural biologic therapies that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. New options now available here.
You can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics.
Real relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for regenerative restorative treatments with lasting relief.
But now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
Start now with a free consultation at QC Kinetics. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. Call today. 274-5522.
Hey, it's Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Santa told me that you've been thinking about a Y membership, but not really sure how it works. So come check out the Y for free. Every Friday this month, the Y is free. That means you and your buddies and your spouse and your kids can all take advantage of free Fridays at the Y. More than just a gym, the Y is a community where you develop relationships, achieve your goals, and belong to something bigger than yourself. This month, Fridays are free, so find your Y.
No time?
No problem.
Listen to 1010XL talk shows on demand.
This you're not going to believe.
As soon as the live show ends. You're kidding. Go to 1010XL.com at your convenience. Brought to you by the law offices of Charles Fletcher. Lawyer Up 904.
Eggnog and carpet? Wine on the sofa? Dingy looking tile and grout? No problem. Call Zero Res. Zero Res technicians, they're cleaning freaks. More than 5,000 five-star customer reviews. Zero Res, man, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and thank you to all their members and contractors for their continued support and partnership. Together, we've helped build a stronger foundation for Jacksonville for over 121 years now. Enjoy spending time with your friends and family this holiday season. Merry Christmas. Local 234. Make the right connection.
Expert Automotive, Jacksonville's only automotive repair shop, where every car we work on gets a lifetime repair warranty. Never pay for service again once it's fixed. Winter travel is around the corner, and now is the time to get your winterization. Do you still have AC issues? Freon prices are falling, and we can save you money. At Expert Automotive, we service all makes and models. Call 374-3373 today to schedule your appointment. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Need extra cash for the holidays? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn is always buying guns, musical instruments, surfboards, and tools, and pays cash money. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach. Online at beachesjewelryandpawn.com.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
Hello, Jacksonville. I'm going to get right to the heart of the matter. We have had 485 shootings in 2022. This includes murders and individuals being shot. Jacksonville is well on its way to being the murder capital of Florida, per capita population again. The answer to the problem is simple. We as a community have got to come together and encourage one another to break the code of silence. Jacksonville cannot solve the problem, and they were not there when it happened. They desperately need our help. We have got to say enough is enough. I'm not going to take any more. Our family could be the next victim. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think.
For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDad'sJacksonville.com.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, hello. Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. What a win for the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday up in Nashville, ending a 9-year losing streak in Nashville to the Tennessee Titans. A man that called it for CBS Sports is Andrew Catalon, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Andrew, how you doing?
Ryan, always good chatting with you. Thanks for having me on.
Andrew, always appreciate it, man. And, boy, you've called a couple of doozies in the last few weeks. You called the Jaguar-Baltimore game, yesterday the Jaguar-Titan game. You've seen Jacksonville probably more than any of your colleagues at CBS. Boy, it clearly looks to be a different team, Andrew, right now.
No doubt about it. I just sense the confidence and swagger in this team led by Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence is very different than any of the previous Jaguars teams that I've seen, especially the last few years. Even in our production meetings with them Saturday night at their hotel in Nashville, it just got a real sense of confidence from them that they know what they did in Detroit wasn't who they really are, and they felt very resilient, and they were in a good frame of mind the night before that game, and it showed. Even though they fell behind 7-0, I thought the Trayvon Walker forced fumble was a huge play in that game early, and it just got that sense that this is a different team, and I give them a lot of credit starting at the top with Doug Peterson.
You know, and to come back from where they were last week, I mean, the NFL, it's so week to week, Andrew, but last Sunday in Detroit was a disaster. I mean, the Lions didn't even punt the football, and then you're going into Tennessee, a place they hadn't won in 3,300 plus days, and to put forth a performance like that, my goodness, shows the growth of this football team.
No doubt. I mean, I think that they didn't really have an explanation as to what happened in Detroit, just that they came out flat. Obviously, the ETN fumble on the second play, I thought, changed the tenor of that game. I also think Detroit's pretty good. As we saw, they beat up Minnesota yesterday. So that's a nice ascending team in the Lions. But, you know, it's easy to say, oh, that wasn't us, and then come out and then you got to show it. And they did. I mean, they really did. I thought that the Tennessee team, even though they were really banged up defensively, you know the style Mike Vrabel wants to play. When they're down, they try to punch you in the mouth. They try to play physical, and they couldn't do that against Jacksonville yesterday. I know all the numbers added up to Jacksonville throwing the football a lot. Tennessee's got a good run defense, but they haven't been able to stop the pass. Doug Peterson knew it. Everybody knew it. And Tennessee still couldn't stop them. So I thought Trevor Lawrence played a great game. You would have no idea that his toe was bothering him. And they really fired on all cylinders in all three phases. It was a very impressive effort.
Andrew Catalan, CBS Sports, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. You saw Trevor as a rookie. You've seen him now in come-from-behind victory over Baltimore and maybe his best game as a professional yesterday against Tennessee. You also get to talk with him on a pretty regular basis when you're calling these games, Andrew. How would you describe Trevor Lawrence, where he is December 2022, compared to where he was last year right now, which is about the time Urban Meyer was fired?
There's no comparison. I mean, I don't think that unless we were in the building, we could really sense how much of a mess last year was. I mean, you can sense it when you were watching them play or a little bit in our meetings, but I just never felt like I knew who Trevor Lawrence was when I would sit with him last year. I just felt like there was so much going on in his mind, so much to process as a rookie, and Urban Meyer and all the losses, something he wasn't accustomed to. And now in these meetings, obviously I've gotten to talk with him a little bit more. I just get a quiet confidence in him. He's just very comfortable in his own skin, which is not something I would have thought to say a year ago. I think that Doug Peterson has been the perfect head coach for him. I think that Doug has a great relationship with him. They see things the same way. I think there's more talent around him as well. We saw that yesterday with Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk on a whole this year. I just really feel like this is the Trevor Lawrence that the Jaguars and their fans thought they were getting. I think they're finally getting him now.
And Andrew, look, and maybe it's a little thing that I'm making too much out of, but I'm curious. You know, Patrick Mahomes is probably the exception, but you look around the league, from the elder statesmen like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady to Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, quarterbacks have a little moxie to them, man, a little attitude in today's day and age. And Trevor yesterday, you know, waving goodbye to the Titan fans or mixing it up with the Titans on the kneel down there and then pointing to the scoreboard. I mean, Jaguar fans here absolutely ate that up yesterday. They loved every bit of it because we haven't really had anybody like that at the quarterback position here in Jacksonville, Andrew, that would do that. I guess Bortles, but then he wasn't all that successful. So the fact that not only Trevor assuming a leadership role, but he's showing a little attitude, sticking up for his teammates. Boy, fans here loved that yesterday.
I think that's a big deal. I don't think you're making too much of it. I noticed that as well. I had to be a little careful on the broadcast because there's Titans fans that are watching too. But I think from a Jacksonville perspective, I thought that was a big deal. It was basically Trevor Lawrence saying, look, this isn't the same old Jaguars. We know we haven't won in this place since 2013. This is a new team, and we're coming for what you have. I mean, they kind of said that all week too, Ryan. They said, look, Titans are the gold standard in our division the last several years. We want to be that, so we got to go beat them, and they did. So, you know, I'm not saying that they're going to go win their next 4 games. They could, but at the same time, I just think even momentum into next year, if they don't get in the playoffs this year, it just sends a little bit of a message that this isn't the same team that had lost so many games in a row in Nashville.
A couple of more for Andrew Catalan of CBS Sports. You know, you look at the AFC South, I think when all the preseason magazines come out next year, Andrew, barring something catastrophic happening this offseason, I mean, how could you not like the Jaguars in this division moving forward? Houston is still in a rebuild. Indianapolis, who knows what's going on there. They're likely to have another quarterback next year. And Tennessee looks like they're probably going to win the division, but my goodness, do they look wounded? They looked old yesterday. I know they had some injury problems. But people here in Jacksonville, whether what happens in the next 4 games or not, moving forward, this looks like it's going to be Trevor Lawrence's division for a few years.
Could be. I mean, obviously in Tennessee, they made the bold move this past week of firing their general manager. So I think the owner is maybe ready to make some bolder moves, whatever that might be. But there's no doubt that the nucleus and the tone that Doug Peterson has around him bodes well for the future. I absolutely agree with you. I think that they'll have some room to make some more moves, but as Trevor continues to grow and they get a few more pieces around him, especially on defense, I think this is a team that should be competing for the division title for the foreseeable future.
You know, Andrew, you look around the league, too. 4 games to go. A lot of implications this week, wild card, division championships, that sort of thing. When you take a look at the AFC, clearly it appears Kansas City and Buffalo, in whatever order you want to put them in. Boy, Cincinnati's coming on strong. How do you assess where we are in the AFC with 4 weeks to go?
Yeah, I still think that a lot of it's going to come down to who gets the 1 seed. I mean, I think that if Buffalo gets it, that's going to be a really tough place to go through. Not that Arrowhead is easy to do, but I think that Buffalo is a different team at home. But I think all these teams are showing potential warts. I don't think there's a dominant team really in either conference, but especially in the AFC. I mean, I still have Buffalo as the favorite. But we've seen even yesterday that they had some struggles at home against a Jets team that they had lost to earlier in the year. So I think once it gets in, it's wide open. I've been pretty high on Miami, but they didn't show up in the way that I expected last night rather. And then they have a tough short week going to Buffalo where it could be snowing on Saturday night. So I think it's really wide open, and you can make a case for any one of these teams to come out of the AFC. But ultimately, I think home field advantage will make a big difference.
Wrapping things up with Andrew Catalon, CBS Sports. Andrew, you know the city of Jacksonville. You know this fan base as well as anybody that does what you do there in the broadcast booth on the television side. There's a big one here on Sunday. It's the first meaningful December game in a long time. Jacksonville's still in it, and in come the Dallas Cowboys. Interesting note for you. First time in 16 years that Dallas will have played a game in Jacksonville. 8 years ago, the game was in London. So Dallas has not been here since 2006. What's your early thought on the Cowboys and the Jaguars on Sunday?
I think it's going to be a great atmosphere because we know the Cowboys fans will travel well, but I would imagine Jaguars fans are riding high, and they're going to try to show up in a big way. That should be a real fun game to watch. Obviously, we saw Dallas struggle against Houston yesterday. They barely pulled out the win. I think the Jaguars have a lot of confidence. They're alive in the division, and I think that's going to be a really good game. That's a game that I think there'll be a lot of eyeballs on, and I think the Jags have a chance to make some noise.
Andrew, final question. You're obviously with CBS. You're paid to call the game down the middle, be objective. It's what you do, and you do a great job of it. But I've been asked this numerous times, and because I'm having you on, I'm curious. I mean, you got to know how you're thought of here in Jacksonville, right? I don't know if a fan base has another connection with a TV play-by-play guy than the Jaguar fan base has with Andrew Catalon, because you've had so many games down here. It's almost kind of like a running joke that we have a chance because Catalon's on the call. I mean, what do you make of the relationship you have here with the Jaguar fan base?
Well, it's funny, and I appreciate it. Look, I've called so many Jaguars games when they haven't been good, right? And I think that when you're a fan and you have the same guy or you hear the same guy, but he's with you in the good times and maybe the bad times. Certainly there were some bad times. Maybe we grow a closer connection. I have no idea. I'm sure that today the Titans fans are thinking, great, we got Catalon again in the Chargers game. They're probably tired of me. But there's no doubt that I get really nice comments from people in Jacksonville, and I appreciate it because it's a fun job, and that's a great place to go. And, I hope they continue to win because it's a fun place to be when they're winning.
Well, you're certainly one of our favorites, no doubt about that. Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports. Hopefully he'll get some more Jaguar games here in the next month of the season. Andrew, thank you for the time. Know you're busy this time of year. But, man, we'll talk soon.
Anytime, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
It's the intersection where they shift gears.
And this is when he's at his best in the open field.
Listen for the Tire Outlet Drive of the Game on 1010XL.
That was an opportunity to bust this game open.
Tire Outlet. Wholesale prices, premium service.
Garber Auto Mall is home to the Garber Advantage. You can't do better than Garber Auto Mall. You can't find a better selection. You can't find better prices. You can't find higher trade values than at Garber Auto Mall. The Garber Auto Mall Advantage comes with a lifetime warranty on your new and most used vehicle purchases. Come to Garber Auto Mall to get the Garber Advantage and see why you can't do better than Garber Auto Mall. Visit us online at GarberAutomall.com.
This month is the perfect time to make sure your roof hasn't been damaged after storm season. Schedule a complimentary roof evaluation with Universal Roof and Contracting. You may qualify for 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months on your roof repair project, plus a free warranty upgrade for first responders and veterans. This offer expires December 31st and restrictions apply. License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular movement is key to so many health benefits. Aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Decide to only take the stairs if you're walking less than 6th floor. Never park in the first 10 spaces of the parking lot. Walk during your work breaks. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and take a short, brisk walk before the chaos of the day starts. There are so many easy ways to stay active. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Hey folks, you know Chick-fil-A restaurants serve delicious food like the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich or waffle potato fries, but you may not know how Chick-fil-A restaurant owners invest in their team members. Chick-fil-A restaurant owners offer flexible hours, leadership development, scholarship opportunities, and more. So if you're looking to grow your career, well, don't miss this opportunity to join your local Chick-fil-A restaurant. Apply online today by visiting your local Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A restaurants are operated by independent franchise business owners. Chick-fil-A, an equal opportunity employer.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Come to Monahan Jewelers' 45th anniversary holiday sale, now with up to 30% off on GIA certified diamonds and up to 40% off our entire store. Certified diamonds, gemstones, engagement rings, diamond studs, designer brands. We're not a big box store, we're your local family jeweler with an amazing hand-picked inventory for every budget, and with interest-free financing, enjoy beautiful jewelry with a low monthly payment. Support your local family jeweler this Christmas with up to 40% off our entire inventory. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, open 7 days a week in December.
Whether you're freeing up space for visiting family or just need a helping hand around the house to do the big jobs, J-Dog Junk Removal is ready for your call this holiday. If you're breaking out decorations and realize that you need to clear space quick, call J-Dog. Or if you need something heavy moved to a different location, the veterans at J-Dog provide courteous labor services. No matter how big the job, call J-Dog Junk Removal at 844-GET-JDOG or enter your zip code at jdog.com.
Jeff Prosser here. Do you have a damaged roof on your home? I did too, so I had Ken Lawler and his team help me get my roof replaced through my property insurance. Ken, tell us how it works.
Jeff, our team walks you through the process and eliminates the confusion that comes with filing an insurance claim and getting it properly settled. It's all free if we don't recover money for your claim. If you have a damaged roof, call Fifth Element Adjusting or visit FEAClaims.com. If you're happy with the outcome of your claim, Fifth Element Adjusting will not be able to help you. Ken Lawler, DFS number P213199.
When it comes to commercial fence services, Superior Fence and Rail has you covered. If your business needs automatic gates or security fence and railings, trust Superior with your next commercial project. Superior's team delivers great communication, high-quality products, and exceptional customer service. Just read any of their 2,300-plus reviews.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
What is the only team in the NFL to neither host nor play in the Super Bowl? The answer coming up.
Having the right homeowner's policy protection means you're staying on top of your most valuable possession, your home. For information on finding an agent, go to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The only team in the NFL that hasn't hosted or played in the Super Bowl? The Cleveland Browns.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
At YMCA Summer Camp, kids find their why. Friendship and fun, a world of adventure beneath a golden sun. Running, laughing, full of wonder. Being themselves is second nature. Summer camp is where they begin to unlock the confidence that lies within. When kids find new passions, they find their why. Summer camp season starts soon. Learn more at ymca.org for a better us.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, hello. Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, what a win for the Jaguars this past weekend over the Tennessee Titans. First time in 9 years the Jaguars went to Nashville and came back with a W. And how impressive was Trevor Lawrence? 368 through the air, 3 touchdowns, also added 1 on the ground. The Dallas Cowboys roll in on Sunday. What'll be the biggest December game here in Jacksonville that we've had in probably 5 years' time. Doug Kyed has spent many years covering the National Football League, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Doug, how we doing?
Doing pretty well. How you doing, Ryan?
Doug, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. And I know you were very complimentary on Twitter of Trevor Lawrence over the weekend, to the point where the Jaguar Twitter handle actually quote tweeted your tweet praising their quarterback. Your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence this past week against Tennessee?
It was probably the best game of his NFL career, I'd say. I mean, I don't know how the locals feel about it, but I mean, he was on fire on Sunday against the Titans, and that's against a good defense as well. And it really seems like since the midway point of the season, when there were some doubts coming about Trevor Lawrence, I feel like he has turned it around, and he's really been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, those stats that I put out, I think it was only about 3/4 of the way through the game. But I mean, if you look at him since week 9, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 111.7 passer rating, 71.8 completion percentage. He's been fantastic. Out of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, only Jalen Hurts has a better passer rating since week 9. So that's from the halfway point of the season on. He's just been a completely different player.
Doug, you've covered this league for a while, man. How does that happen? He's better than he was a month ago. He's clearly better than he was 2 months ago. How does somebody change from where they were in September to now being a completely different guy in December?
I think for him, it definitely helps to get more familiarity in Doug Peterson's offense, get more familiarity with his wide receivers, with his teammates. A lot of those things, a quarterback can only be so good, and then the supporting cast around him has to be strong as well. So I do think that, he's gotten more comfortable with the supporting cast. Zay Jones has stepped up, obviously, but I think that the main thing is that it was probably tough for him coming into the season to be playing under another new offense. So sometimes it takes a while to fully click, and it seems like that's what's happened with him now over the second half of the season here with Doug Peterson.
Doug Kyed, longtime cover of the National Football League. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, from the AFC South perspective, look, you go from 4-8 to 5-8. You're still in the hunt for a postseason berth, and that's all great. And we certainly hope that it works out for Jacksonville. Being down 2 games with 4 to go, they're still alive. But to me, Doug, and I'm curious your thought, to me it was like a ding-dong, the witch is dead type moment. I can't tell you how many times Jacksonville's gone into Nashville and just gotten pummeled, gotten boat raced. Even the 2017 AFC title team went in there and just got physically whipped by the Titans. And for this Jaguar team to go into Nashville yesterday, to give them the beating, and then to have Trevor Lawrence wave to the Titan crowd and point to the scoreboard when there's some jawing back and forth at the end of the game, the people here in Jacksonville ate that up yesterday afternoon. It's clearly a different mindset that Doug Peterson has brought to this football team.
It definitely is, and I'd say that, even last week's move of the Titans firing John Robinson, they clearly see that there are some flaws there in that Titans team, and I was certainly caught by surprise by the fact that the Titans did fire John Robinson halfway through the season, but they haven't drafted particularly well. Obviously, their offense runs, pretty predominantly through Derrick Henry still at this point. So I'd say that typically being 2 games back at this point in the season, not always the best sign for a team like the Jaguars are facing right now. But there does seem to be enough flaws in that Titans team that things could go a little bit haywire for Tennessee over the last half of the season here, or the last quarter of the season here. And the Jaguars are definitely coming on strong. So even if they don't make the playoffs, even if this doesn't happen this year, it's definitely a great sign for the future for the Jaguars. And it feels like the Titans are a team that are trending down. The Colts have to figure out a lot of things this offseason. The Texans are still maybe 2-3 years away. So, if all goes as planned, and if Trevor Lawrence keeps playing the way that he has over the second half of the season here, they're going to be the team to beat heading into next year.
And one thing, too, with what Trevor did at the end of the game, and really you go back to Detroit last week, Doug, and the ownership Trevor took he called it embarrassing. He called it, we said we got our A's kicked. We laid down. That's big-time talk from a guy that's only in his second year in the league. You can see him definitely assuming that leadership role on this football team. But yesterday, like I said, waving to the Titan crowd, pointing to the scoreboard. Joe Burrow does stuff like that. Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, those guys that have that little moxie, that attitude, whatever you want to call it. We haven't had anything like that here in Jacksonville. It's nothing against them, but, Brunell and Leftwich and Garrard, that wasn't their thing. Bortles had it a little bit, but he wasn't very successful a large majority of the time. To have a quarterback, do that, stand up for his teammates, point to the scoreboard, rub it in your rivals' faces. Man, that was, I got to be honest, that was pretty refreshing to see.
Yeah, I would certainly imagine. And yeah, I do think that, Blake Bortles did have a little bit of that moxie, but as you said, he didn't really have the play to back it up on the field. And that's obviously the thing that sets Trevor Lawrence apart right now, is that he is playing like an elite level quarterback. He's playing better than any Jaguars quarterback since, probably since the Mark Brunell days. You would certainly know better than I do, but yeah, I would imagine that was extremely refreshing to see, and it's good to see him start to show a little bit more of that personality as he gets more comfortable, with the Jaguars, with Doug Peterson, with his teammates, and I think that's another thing that is probably allowing him to flourish a little bit more this season, just getting more comfortable within himself, getting more comfortable as a leader. Doug
Kyed has covered the NFL for many years. He's with us here on 1010XL Radio in Jacksonville. Doug, 188 catches, 2,077 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Those are the combined numbers for Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram. And you and I talked this offseason. Yeah. A lot of people around the league were poo-pooing those signings, saying, well, you overpaid. Why are you bringing these guys in? Again, maybe they don't have a quote-unquote wide receiver one, but 188 for $2,000 and 13 scores in 13 games? Doug, that's pretty good production, is it not?
It definitely is. And, this is probably why I said over the offseason and over the summer as well, you can question how the Jaguars spent their money, like how much money they wound up paying those guys. But they're performing, and those guys have clearly improved the Jaguars' offense. So when it comes down to it, you're what is it, $1 or $2 million that they might have overpaid for one or two players. It ultimately doesn't matter if it does improve your team, if it does improve your roster, and if you can still go out at the trade deadline and acquire a guy like Calvin Ridley. We'll see how he comes in next year and performs for the Jaguars, but he's got the potential to be that number one wide receiver. And in the meantime, in the interim, Christian Kirk is probably going to have a 1,000-yard season this year, and Zay Jones could wind up coming pretty close. So they're definitely getting the production that they paid for out of those wide receivers and out of Evan Ingram as well. I mean, he was out there making play after play yesterday.
Doug, because you mentioned him real quick, Calvin Ridley, the expectation around the league, right? I guess he applies for reinstatement in February. There's no reason to believe that he will not be reinstated, correct?
No, not that I've heard in particular. I think that, the only way, I guess I wouldn't say the only way, but the way that I could see that not happening is if they found something else, if they found that he was, betting on games this season, or if there was some other issue. But beyond that, certainly I would expect him to be, activated after the season.
There is a lot of excitement about Calvin Ridley coming in 2023 here in Jacksonville. Final moments here with Doug Kyed. He's covered the NFL for many years. He's always kind enough to join us on 1010XL here in Jacksonville. All right, Doug, the Cowboys come in. Here's an interesting stat for you if you want to tweet out free of charge. Dallas has not been to Jacksonville since 2006. It has been 16 years. Last time they were supposed to be here was 2014, and the game was in London. So there will clearly be thousands of Cowboy fans who have not seen them here in Jacksonville again in 16 years. It'll be a great environment. It's probably the biggest December game we've had around here since 2017. What's your thought on the Cowboys and the Jaguars on Sunday?
I think it could wind up being close. I mean, the Texans kept it close against the Cowboys. I know that the Texans have played other teams pretty tough this year. They played the Eagles tough. Now they've played the Cowboys tough. But I don't know. I mean, obviously it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde situation for the Jaguars. You saw what happened against the Lions a couple of weeks ago, and then they come out and blow out the Titans. But it's kind of the same thing with the Cowboys. The Cowboys got pretty lucky winning that game yesterday against the Texans. The Texans really blew it, I felt like, more than the Cowboys actually won that game. So, I mean, I think that the expectation would be that the Cowboys would win that game, but I don't know. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is playing so well right now that he could be that type of quarterback that could get a team over the hump, that could, cause some upsets. And I think that that's what we saw a little bit yesterday, and if that continues, then I think the Jaguars have a chance.
Well, the weird thing about the Jaguars is they have wins over the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Titans, which if the playoffs started today, that's 3 of the 7 AFC teams that are in the playoffs the Jaguars have beaten, yet they have inexcusable losses to the Broncos and the Texans. So it's almost as if they play up to the competition, and if that's the case, you would think they would have a very good showing on Sunday. Regardless of what happens, it's just nice to be in the playoff hunt. Let me ask you about Tennessee. They go to Los Angeles. They still have a game against Dallas, so the Cowboys will have a big say in what happens in the AFC South. And the Titans play the Jaguars Week 18. So could be very interesting. Tennessee looks like they're leaking oil, Doug. I don't know what you thought yesterday, but in watching that team, and I've seen them, many times. Derrick Henry's a local kid. We've followed him for years. That did not look like a Tennessee team that I'm used to seeing. I know like you said, they fired their GM. They got problems up there, right?
No, they definitely do. And I think, like I said, that's why you fire the GM, because they've missed on so many draft picks. They don't have the depth that they had before. They don't necessarily have the offensive line that they had before. And Ryan Tannehill is probably still maybe a little bit of an underrated quarterback, but even he's kind of struggled in some of these games recently. So I do. I think that they're a team with flaws, and I think that this remaining schedule for the Titans could wind up being pretty difficult. I mean, obviously, Chargers looked tough yesterday with Justin Herbert at quarterback. Texans just played the Cowboys tough. Then they've got the Cowboys. And I think the dream scenario down there in Jacksonville would be for that Week 18 game to
to decide the division. And, some things have to bounce right for the Jaguars before then, but I'm not ruling it out. I said before the season that if there was any team in the NFL that could go from worst to first, it would be the Jaguars. And, it didn't look great. I'd say that prediction didn't look fantastic early in the season, but I think that they're now starting to show the potential that they had heading into the year now with some of these recent wins against the Ravens and the Titans.
I'll tell you, it's just an indictment to me on the AFC South that Tennessee team is in first place by 2 games with 4 to go because they did not look very good yesterday. Doug, leave us with this. The AFC as a whole. We know Buffalo, Kansas City, boy, it looks like Cincinnati really coming on strong. Are those the 3, or is there another team that could be a fly in the ointment, if you will?
I still think the Dolphins could be as well. I know they struggled yesterday against the Chargers, and just seems like Brandon Staley's defenses play well against Shanahan offenses. So we'll see how that all stacks up before the playoffs come. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because everyone thought that the Buffalo Bills were going to be, the Super Bowl favorites heading into the season. They've shown a decent amount of flaws, I feel like, over the last couple of weeks of the year. Chiefs are still obviously a really tough team as well. But yeah, I'd say that Bengals clearly are up there too. It's kind of funny that they're actually not in first place in their division. The Ravens are, but you certainly expect that to flip before the end of the season with the Lamar Jackson injury, the Tyler Huntley injury. So those would be my big 4 still. And then, yeah, I can't say that I expect anyone coming out of the AFC South to be overly, competitive in the playoffs. And then that final seed that's going to come down between the Chargers, Jets, and Patriots, those teams all have a lot of flaws as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's interesting. And again, maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but if Jacksonville beats Dallas, and that's a big if, and even if they don't, they have the Jets, the Texans, and the Titans, a team they're competing head-to-head with for a wild card in the Jets. The Texans' only win came against Jacksonville. You would have to think there's a revenge factor there. And then you get the Titans at home in Week 18, which, boy, the nation would love that if that was the flexed game. The 8-8 Jaguars, the 8-8 Titans battling for the AFC South Championship. Doug Kyed has covered the NFL for many years, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Doug, thank you for the time. If we don't talk beforehand, man, have a happy holidays, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. It's always fun. Thanks for talking to me.
And thank you to Doug Kyed, who's covered the NFL for many, many years, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Boy, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens on Sunday between the Jaguars and the Cowboys. Of course, you'll get the game right here on 1010XL, a 1 o'clock kick. Afterwards, Leon Searcy, Dave Campo, and myself will have the 5th quarter for you live from Perfect Rack Billiards out in Murray Hill. Well, that'll just about wrap it up for what has been a very eventful Wednesday night. Here on Hacker After Dark, we got a lot of people to thank. Again, Doug Kyed, longtime NFL writer, for joining us tonight. Bill Bender of the Sporting News, talking about Florida. Of course, their bowl game is on Saturday against Oregon State. Also talked a little Florida State and Miami with Bill Bender of the Sporting News. My friend John Shipley of Jaguar Report, who does such a terrific job with that website as we talk Jaguars and Cowboys. And we brought you a Hacker After Dark replay of my conversation with Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports earlier tonight here on Hacker After Dark. We will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday at 8 o'clock, and we will do it all over again. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday, and we will do it all over again on a Thursday, beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
The future is now.
Balls out. Gators say they have it. Oh, and it is Florida football.
The Gators battle Oregon State in the Las Vegas Bowl on Saturday, December 17th.
Chump, chump, chump. Touchdown, Gators.
Kickoff is set for 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, with pregame coverage beginning at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, right here on your home for Florida Gators football. 1010XL.
You don't have to go through yet another year with that knee pain or back pain. People with chronic pain are getting real lasting relief with QC Kinetics. Leon Searcy here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine with locations right here in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. These unique protocols use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restore damaged tissues, so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Got shoulder pain, excruciating hip pain? If you have any arthritis pain or lingering pain from any injury, don't let them operate on you or give you more steroids. And say no to pain pills. Call QC Kinetics and see if their life-changing, all-natural treatments can get you living your best life in this year. People are raving about these treatments. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as next year. Make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra.
This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL-AM and FM. Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL. Home sweet home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All over America,